This week, I'm joined by Bob and Dan Letellier. Together, they make up Team Letellier of RE/MAX Realty One in Biddeford. These are guys that I've worked with throughout my whole entire career, but our relationships go back well before that. It's been great to see the success they've had over their careers, working as two individual agents, to forming a team, to having 7 people on it. And in a market where a lot of realtors are struggling due to high interest rate, low inventory, these guys are absolutely crushing it, as busy as anyone around. Really happy and proud of all the success that they've had. I think you'll really enjoy the conversation. We talk about their history in the business, some of their keys to success. I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. So hope you enjoy. This is the Randy Forcier podcast. If you could do me a huge favor, if you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Be on the lookout for the new Instagram account. If you could follow that, I would appreciate it. And thanks again for watching. Hey guys, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
So this is my first 3-person podcast, so I'm interested to see how it goes. Looks decent enough on my screen right now, so let's give it a shot. Here with Dan and Bob Letellier, the 2 figureheads of Team Letellier of RE/MAX Realty One in Biddeford. Been wanting to have you guys on for a while. Hard to line up our schedules, but we made it happen. Why don't we talk a little bit about how you guys got started? Bob, you got started first in real estate. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I've been in it 13 years now. Left my last job, not knowing what I was going to do at first, and I've always wanted to get into real estate. It wasn't that great a market at the time, but with a little encouragement, I was told, go for it. So I did, and struggled probably the first year getting established like most realtors do until you get your clientele based and all that, and get to connect with lenders and what have you. And started with a small outfit that didn't have a brand. By the 3rd year, getting approached by companies to recruit me to go join them. And RE/MAX by far was the best fit for me, and continues to be.
Has it really been 10 years at RE/MAX? 9, 10
10
years?
years. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think it's been 10 already, but...
Well, I think back to when we were working together. I mean, we've been working together since you've been in business. I mean, I think I got in the business the same time as you, 2008. Some people would say it's the worst time to start just because of the recession.
Right.
I happen to think it was the best time to start because we could build our habits, build our connections so that we were ready to take advantage of the next upswing in the market, which we were able to do. I still remember doing things at, it was Classic Realty where you were at the time.
Right.
In Biddeford. I remember doing things there, and I can't believe it's already been the amount of time that you've been at RE/MAX. So,
right.
Dan joined the team at one point. Dan, when did you get licensed? I forget. I lose track of time now.
Yeah, 2015, 2016. Bob kind of came to me and said, hey, I'm straight out. I'm busy. I could use the help. And like Bob was saying, that first year, it was all about help. And then, as the clientele grew and all my connections and leads I had either at, U&E or, all over, it just, it really helped out.
You coached softball at U&E for a number of years, right?
Correct. Yep.
So
coached there.
Those are relationships that have benefited you. It's been nice to kind of be ingrained in that community, never mind just like the local Biddeford community, right?
Yeah. Actually, with U&E, I've good chunk of my business has come from either coaches that have come in, former players, former students. Actually, the dean of students is a client of mine. He currently lives on campus. So it's just been great. It's like that community.
Yeah, we've worked on a few deals together with some of those U&E people. It's awesome to see you be able to help former players that you coached. Now that I'm starting to get into coaches and seeing kids grow up, it must be cool for you to coach these kids in their 20s and then, 5-10 years later, they're buying houses and you're able to help them with that pretty big transaction.
Yeah, that's been the greatest part, is seeing them when they were here at 18, 19 years old, and now they have children, 1, 2 kids, 2+, and, helping them find their homes. So
since you joined with Bob and started Team Letellier, you've grown your team since then. Tell me a little bit about your team. How many people are in there, Bob? Why don't you explain that part?
Yeah, we're now at 7. We started, Dan and I, with business manager, Rich Gaboys, who does a phenomenal job for us. And then I said, let's look into expanding the team a little bit. So Dan went and got Tito, and I had a CJ Maxett join us, and they, within 2 years, have just been killing it. So we added a couple more, Eli Leland and Sam Bell. And yeah, the Eli in his second full year is going to be making six figures this year. Sam, as a part-timer, has done a phenomenal job, and him too looks to be, successful down the road. So we're looking to expand even more.
Yeah, so you're always open to the idea of bringing additional realtors or team members onto the team?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, what would you say, maybe Dan, for you, what's been some of the keys to your success since you've been in real estate?
Yeah, well, definitely, leaning on Bob or, reaching out to him at all hours of the night saying, hey, dude, what do I do here? What's going on? But, having that, and that's kind of what's made the team successful. It's, we all come in with different strengths, some weaknesses as well. I mean, it's life in general.
Like anything.
Yeah, and we bounce things off each other as best we can. And, what makes it successful is just leaning on each other, reaching out to each other. And everybody that's on this team has a different sphere. So a different sphere of influence where, you have one that's grew up, in Saco and played hockey at Thornton Academy. So he's got that whole different generation. And one of our other ones is South Portland, and he does a lot of MMA stuff. So he's got that generation and that sphere that he attracts. And, Bree with all her sides and her part-time job of, she does bartending and at different venues and weddings. So yeah, it's just, we all have a different area that we pull from, and Sam with his financing background.
Yep.
So it's great. We all feed off each other. We all help each other. It's awesome.
Yeah, we have like 7 different personalities, and we all feed off each other's energy. It's amazing.
As you're describing the team, it's like 7 different people, but when you put it together, it just seems like it's a good fit. And like you were saying, Dan, about the idea of learning from each other, I really think in this business the best way to learn is just by getting involved in transactions. And when you're involved or hearing about 7 people's transactions, you're going to learn stuff. You're going to become better at what you do and know how to handle these situations if they ever come up again in the future. So I don't know if you agree with that or not, but
yeah, absolutely. And when we meet and we share stuff, we can only share so much, but it's when we run into issues and we say, hey, this came up, we want to make sure to keep an eye on this in the future and stuff. That's one of the things, we didn't touch on yet, but Rich is kind of the key, that he kind of takes that all in and and puts it together for us to say, hey, learn from this, do this.
Is Rich just managing some of the transactions, or is he involved in some of the marketing stuff that you guys are doing as well, or how's that working?
Yeah, he does pretty much everything for us. We've even had him go do a showing for us, and if we have need somebody to go stand at the building inspection, he's done that for us. What I like about Rich is he's going to research a property that we might be listing. He's going to go find out, what the town has for records on it and what have you. And he's really good at figuring out plot plans and what the lot actually has and what the town allows, So, yeah, he's been very valuable for us that way.
Yep. Well, when you have 6 agents, it's nice to have that person that can do that stuff for you guys. I mean, if you were just one or two person team, maybe you don't do enough business to support having a guy like that on the team. But when you have 6 people, it makes it a lot easier to fill Rich's time, and he's been great to work with too. So he's definitely
absolutely. Yep.
How about challenges for you guys? What are some of the challenges you've faced as you've grown your team, or maybe challenges that you're experiencing now? Are there any that come to mind?
Well, definitely the current market conditions are somewhat of a challenge if you have a new buyer, a young buyer, first-time buyer. When you're dealing with, even on your lending side, is you're dealing with these young first-time buyers, and, you'd get to explain to them, hey, sorry, there was 9 other offers that came in on the property, or, that's definitely a challenge. And another challenge would be the growth of realtors in the market. Yeah. But that forces us to do things that we know other realtors, agents aren't doing, you know.
To really separate yourself. Yeah, I echo what you say about working with buyers. It's especially tough, especially the type of buyers that I think we've worked with, the three of us together. There's a lot of Biddeford Saco people buying their first home. They're from around here. Those people have really been boxed out of the market over the past 2 years. When you're competing with out-of-state money, people that have cash, it's hard for those first-time home buyers to come in with their low down payment loans or their government loans and make an offer that gets accepted. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is one of the biggest challenges that we face, and to keep the buyers focused that, don't settle for a house. We'll get there, and yeah, just work through those issues.
I have seen a couple government loans, or I should say offers with buyers using government loans be accepted recently, which for the longest time it was you had to have conventional financing. I know we're talking mortgage lingo here, but you have to have conventional financing, which is for people that have good credit, typically bigger down payments, cleaner finances. That was the norm for the past couple of years, where the people that needed government financing because they had lower down payments or maybe more challenging credit, that stuff was not generally accepted in the market. But I'm seeing more of those things being accepted nowadays. Have you experienced that, or is that maybe it's just me on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, I've experienced that. Some, not a great deal, but yeah, I'm seeing that being more of a challenge.
I put a rural development loan under contract over the weekend, which a rural development loan, for people that don't know, is just a 100% financing, no down payment required. Great loan for people that don't have that money. But I hadn't done one since 2019, since before COVID. It used to be probably done a ton of them. Me and you, Dan, maybe have done some too, but like that was 40% of my business for most of my career up until 2020, and I hadn't done one since then. So it'll be fun, and I'm happy for the people that it was accepted.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing the market starting to change. I mean, I just had 3 appraisals in the past 2 days, and all of them said to me that they've seen the appraisal piece slow down.
Yeah.
Where how it was the past, we were waiting weeks and weeks for appraisals. So
it was like 6 weeks at one point in 2020 and 2021, and that's going to be one of the biggest challenges for all of us is the appraisal situation. People don't realize that when we do a loan for someone, we're ordering an appraisal and it's with a third party person. Like, it's not like my company has appraisers that work for Norcom Mortgage. It's just we're putting out requests to any of the independent appraisers that work in the area, and there's only so many of them, and a lot of them are aging or are overwhelmed. So when we put an order out and there's hundreds of people buying places, that wait can be 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, and it makes it hard to get a deal done. So it's actually nice when that slows down a little bit and we kind of get deals closed within 30 days like we used to.
I just had an appraisal done before the inspection was done.
Wow.
That's the first. Yeah.
Everything come back okay?
Yeah. But I'm wow. Haven't even had the inspection yet. Yeah.
I had that happen back pre-COVID, and people didn't, actually the agents did not love that it was done before the inspection, but hey, it's really left up to the appraiser to schedule that sort of stuff. So it's nice to hear that stuff's moving along a little bit better. Hope for some smoother transactions. What are your thoughts on the market going into the wintertime? Like, are you starting to see more houses getting listed heading into the fall, or like, are there any like signs that you guys are seeing that indicate what we're looking at for the next couple months?
Go ahead, Dan.
No, it's been a busy fall for myself anyway, but so yeah, I mean, I would think the way the rates are in the market is that hopefully things look to increase and look to keep busy. I mean, it's traditionally, as you know, and Bob knows as well, I mean, people want to try to be in before the holidays. So if you're purchasing, you want to, be in before the holidays, and nobody likes to do too much during January and February anyway. So I hope that, we get back to some normalcy.
Yeah.
And, one of the appraisers just told me that he listened to either was a podcast or something they're looking at the rates being back to like 5 or 6 by spring. So,
I mean, that's a hope. That's the hope, right? Like, people don't realize that they hear about the Federal Reserve. Maybe you guys too hear the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates. That's not necessarily driving interest rates in the moment that it happens. Rates are a market-driven thing. They're changing based on a bunch of different factors in the anticipation of what the Fed will do. So I think what we're waiting right now for is for inflation to get under control. There's some reports that are actually supposed to come out this week we start to get that under control, I think we can see some relief in interest rates, but I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but next spring would be nice. Just locked in someone yesterday at 7.75%, which is high. I think that might be the highest I've ever locked anyone in my career. Having started in 2008 when maybe rates were upper 5s or 6, they made their way down to the 2s in the past couple of years, but they've gone up pretty quick. So 7.75, wild times.
Yeah.
One of the things I was talking about with Dan before you got on, Bob, is just your level of community involvement. I very much equate Team Letellier with Biddeford, right? Being Biddeford people, Biddeford community. What are some of the things that you guys are doing on an event level or sponsorship level or cause level? Are there any things you guys have going on right now?
What aren't we doing? I mean, anybody that walks in the door, that asks for help, we're there to help.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a great community. It really is. And nothing I enjoy more than giving back to it. I know when I first started, I'm going to be honest, buyers would say, show me any place but Biddeford. And now it's the complete opposite. People are saying, yeah, I want to get involved. I like what Biddeford's doing. And it's such a great feeling, So
yeah.
Giving back to the community is fantastic too. And we get involved, from the youth organizations to the high school level and anything that's happening downtown, we try to get involved in as much as possible. So yeah, it's been great.
You touched on something that I always took to heart was those conversations you'd have with buyers where they're like, okay, I want to be in Saco, Dayton, Kennebunk, Arundel, like any place but Biddeford, but encircling Biddeford. And it was always, I think the excuse that I would get from people was that they want to avoid the school system, not really understanding anything about the school system. And honestly, that's what motivated me to be on the school board. Just like, okay, why are people always blaming on the school? I want to see what's going on. I want to be a part of this. And what I've come to find out is Biddeford has great schools with great administration, great leadership, great kids. And the thing that has always scared people about Biddeford is the perceived poverty, right? I think if we're being completely honest, and I do see that starting to change, right? I think, downtown's being cleaned up and it's becoming a more attractive place to live.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And there's just so much going on in the community where, and I think like you touched on and Bob touched on earlier, it's, once you start getting involved in the community, I mean, I've coached everything in this community from 4th and 5th grade, 4 and 5-year-old soccer to T-ball to
13-year-old All-Stars
to 13-year-old All-Stars. Yeah. When Randy played.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's not just that, it's, UNE is part of this community. And those kids in that school and the university, they get involved with the community. So, the more you do, the people know and people see and people reach out to you. And it's not always about donations. It's about getting your hands dirty. It's about, being involved, being there, just being there and helping people, whatever we need to do. I mean, Bob has an event going on right now for, cribbage once a week, and people come in with any donations. Eli did a chess league, and again, it's about getting people together, and then we donate a lot to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital.
I was going to say, that was for the chess thing. Is that what it is for cribbage? Or have you set a recipient for any donations? Or
Yeah, we started last Wednesday. We're just looking for donations. Anybody wants to play, and
you'll find the cause from there.
It's open to all ages. If you know how to play cribbage, come play,
So every Wednesday, what are the times? So that's something I want to share. So what are the times for that?
Yeah, every Wednesday from 6 to 8, here at our office here. And you just bounce around and play different people. And we haven't discussed whether we're going to have a league, so to speak, but we can discuss that as more people get involved. So
right now, it's just like you can go one week and not the next week, though, for now.
Correct. Yeah.
So I couldn't do the time you guys are doing the chess stuff because I believe it was Sunday mornings for chess, right?
Yeah, that's what Eli was doing.
Family-wise, Wednesdays actually aren't much better. School board is on Wednesdays. So league is tough, but I'm going to try to get there on an off-school board night, Wednesday.
Sure.
And check it out. Not that great at cribbage, but hey, everyone's just having a good time.
I thought everybody in Biddeford knows how to play cribbage. So.
Yeah, it's weird. My family didn't play cribbage. I know a lot of people that played cribbage since they were 3 years old.
Right.
Did you play Gizzut?
all these little house rules and everything. I'm still kind of figuring it all out, but it's an awesome game. So I got to get there and check that out. Yeah. What other things do you guys sponsor? Like, I remember you doing the basketball. What did you do? Like some shooting clinic basketball thing for the high school? I still have a Team Letellier basketball. It's in my garage. I think it's like the greatest piece of advertising stuff that I ever got, because we look at it all the time. Is that something that you guys still do?
Oh, yeah. Coach Tardif hits me up every fall to get ready for the basketball season in the winter. And, he took it a step further. He's developed a great youth league in the summer camps. And he came right to us. He said, I want you guys to sponsor it. I said, absolutely. So, yeah, we've been supporting that now. And,
Are you still doing the alumni football stuff? Alumni football game? Is that still happening?
I'd love to. As busy as I am, I'm trying to get the others, veteran players, to run it, organize it. I told them, look, I'm willing to sponsor it, and I'll help any way possible, but I just don't have the time to organize it. It's a big commitment. It was fantastic that first year we did it.
That was awesome.
We were playing in 30-degree weather, and actually I think it was colder than that.
It was not warm.
We had about 100 players,
I remember you walking around with the megaphone on the field.
Yeah.
It was great, but then COVID the past couple of years, I don't know if that directly impacted it, but the past few years,
it did.
Anything has been tough.
Yeah, COVID did play a big part, but the following year, a lot of the players felt it was too cold, so we tried scheduling it first week of August, and then again we ran into other issues, people on vacation. Yeah, it's tough.
Great sentiment. I think it was great for the time, and hopefully some of those people that were involved with it pick it back up and find a way to keep it going. But I think it's a pretty unique thing, right? Like, I don't know that a lot of schools or any place is doing an alumni football game, right? Or maybe they are.
None that I know of. That's why we kind of wanted to start it, and make it a tradition. And I think it'll come back. You get a few of the alumni players that just want to continue making something like that happen in the community. So I wouldn't be surprised it's back, in a year.
Are you guys doing a client appreciation event? I mean, I know holidays isn't that far, but do you guys usually do something at your office in December? Any plans for that?
Yep. We started the preliminary talks right now. I mean, with the way the team has grown, I think we've kind of outgrew doing it at the office, but that's definitely going to be happening. We're just trying to find a location. And as you probably know, Randy, as well, is my father-in-law always told me when I got into, because he was a city assessor for a while and he was an appraiser, and he always told me, he says, your relationships in real estate start at the closing table.
Yeah.
They don't end there. They start there. So make sure you always try to appreciate, vendors and, everybody that's involved in the process. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's such a cool thing to build relationships with people after you do a transaction with them, like buying a house, stay in touch with them, multiple transactions. I mean, we closed on people that bought their second house, me and you, Dan, this year, a couple kids now, to see all that growth and staying in touch with people, and those relationships are one of the best parts of this business. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because, Bob always talks like swag and the Team Letellier swag, and the ones that we sold their second one, they sent me a picture with the teddy bear and saying, hey, I think she's liking her new home. And I was like, it's just cool. It just touches you,
Love it. Before we wrap up, do you guys have any advice for people that are in real estate or getting into real estate? I mean, it sounds like relationships is one of those things, but are there certain things that you tell your team as keys to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we always emphasize is stay in touch with your clients, keep them, motivated and keep them uplifted. And just had a client go by. So
are you at the front of your office?
I'm at the front of the desk, yeah. And I mean, stay connected with your clients, past and what have you, like Dan said. Yeah, it's the best way to get referrals, and Yeah,
and if anybody looking to get into it, I think the number one thing to know is, I mean, it's not easy. It's not, it's an easy business to get into. I'm going to be successful right off. Yeah, it takes time. It takes money. It takes, being out there. You got to spend money to make money. You got to, know that there's going to be a lot of competition out there. So what's going to set yourself apart, and I think everything that, we do here at Team Letellier it's all about the community. It's all about creating those relationships. It's just be yourself. That's it.
Very true. Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. It was fun. The three-way pod, I think, worked out pretty well. No technical issues from what I can tell. We'll see when I go to try to post it, but I appreciate you guys doing it, Bob, making it happen, and we'll do it again sometime. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, guys. See you.